modern agriculture has given us the safest, the most affordable, and the most plentiful food supply in the history of our species. But with our global population growing at current rates, some have estimated that we'll have to produce more food in the next 30 years than we have in the entire history of humanity. The biggest threats to face our species are things like climate change, biodiversity loss, and soil loss. But there is one group of people who can save us from that future: farmers. So I'm on a journey into the future of our food. Oh, miracle! Amazing! To witness for myself what the best and brightest minds are doing.
Everybody wants a fix. Well, the fix is nature itself.
To avert this imminent food security crisis.
We need to start to think now in order to solve the problem that we'll have in the future.
I'll question received wisdom. Why not just get rid of the cows? And interrogate how our food supply chains can respond to unparalleled events like the COVID-19 pandemic.
Technology is going to have an extraordinarily large part to play in the food chain, and I'm really excited about it.
Wow, look at this. So here's what I want to know. If we could radically rethink how we treat our land, what we grow, and how we produce it, if we could not just change our food system, but our whole planet for the better. On my journey so far, I've seen the amazing and innovative work underway to help make our global farmland healthier, more productive, and more adaptable than ever. But that's only part of the story. In the future, there will be more of us, living not in the countryside next to where food is grown, but in the cities. This is London, my home city, home to ideas and cultures, and of course food from all over the planet. And it's estimated that by 2050, up to 60% of the global population will be living in cities that aren't altogether that different from this one. And of course, they'll all need feeding. But breakages in the food supply chains during the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the distances our food often travels and the potential fragility of that system. So going forward, will we really be reliably able to ship thousands, if not millions of tons of food into cities like this? Or could we move the area of food production closer to the area of its consumption, perhaps even to the heart of cities like this one? Until recently, I've been somewhat skeptical. As a kid growing up in the high-rise city-state of Singapore, we'd go to school trips to rooftop gardens growing salad leaves. And even then, I thought it was crazy to think you could feed a metropolis on lettuce. But perhaps times are changing.
Here we are on the 7th floor of this building.
This is the world's largest urban rooftop farm, Nature Urbaine. Its 150,000 square feet is the size of 2 football pitches, dwarfing anything I ever saw as a kid.
We're just concentrating on tomatoes, strawberries, aromatic plants, and eggplants and butternuts.
Its founder, Pascal Hardy, is keen to make this commonplace.
The majority of the world population is now in the cities, not in the countryside. So we must have less distance between places where we grow and places where we consume. When you grow local food like this, you cancel food miles, and the average food miles for food in France is over 1,000 kilometers. Paris is a good city for this type of farm because Paris is very dense compared to London, for example. It's much less green than London. So we need to vegetalize to green the city. So this site is quite big. And this year, we had 5 gardeners working on the site. And when we will reach the whole surface installed, we will have about 20 people here.
To maximize the growing space they have, the farmers here use an innovative aeroponic system.
On these towers, you have 52 plants on each. And also, we save resources. It's a closed circuit system.
So this pipe is going to spray all the nutriments and the water directly in the column. This water then goes down along these gray pipes. This water is filtered again and then came back in this repeated cycle.
And when the remaining 2/3 of the vast rooftop is in production, the farmers here will be harvesting up to 1,000 kilos of 35 different varieties of fruit and vegetable every day. So could rooftop farms like this one potentially feed entire populations of our future megacities and slash food miles almost completely? Even high-flying urban farmer Pascal has more down-to-earth expectations.
I don't think the aim of urban agriculture is to feed all the city. It's just a contribution. It's an additional offer compared to traditional agriculture. But it shows a new model, virtuous, economically viable, and local. And that's important to have this. It's another proposition in the field of agriculture.
You know, if you believe the most optimistic visions of what urban farming will look like, a rooftop scene in London like this would just be completely transformed by 2050. Instead of seeing air conditioning units and grey railings, these would all be little patches of farmland, you know, all over the place. You know, that could be a bit urban farm right there instead of plastic grass. No doubt these are spaces that could be put to better use. But if I'm honest, there's only so much rooftop available. If we're going to be feeding millions, then urban farmers will need to look elsewhere too.
Welcome to La Caverne. Let's follow me.
Jean-Noël Gertz, a thermal engineer and CEO of Cycloponics, has spotted an exciting underground opportunity.
You're in the north of Paris, in the 18th arrondissement, in this underground car park.
In the 1960s and 70s, Paris built too many underground car parks. And falling car ownership in the city means that many are now standing empty. Almost 600 hectares of them.
So here we grow shiitake. It's a mushroom from Asia. And here we grow oyster mushroom. It's quite common in Europe. I was looking for some space with no competition with real estate companies. So underground, you don't have competition because you cannot live there, you cannot build offices, so you cannot do a lot of stuff. It's quite easy to grow mushroom here because we have a lot of inertia. The temperature is between 10 and 20 degrees all year long and 80% of humidity. And a bit of ventilation, and that's it. You can grow mushroom.
With some varieties containing almost 1/3 of their dry weight as protein, mushrooms could be a fantastic addition to supplement the more usual leafy greens normally associated with urban farms. Delivered to local shops and restaurants, the farm has the ability to grow up to 100 kilos of mushrooms per day across 38,000 square feet. It might seem like a drop in the ocean, perhaps, in a city of 11 million. But if you applied that output across all the 600 hectares available, Paris's underground car parks could produce nearly 170 tons a day.
Urban farming is quite a trend right now. People are looking for good food. They want to know where it comes from. We try to answer that. Right now we are alone, but I guess we won't be alone for long.
Going underground certainly opens up a whole new dimension to urban farming. Maybe in the future we'll go a step further and begin creating purpose-built underground farms. But I want to know, with 10 billion people expected to be on the planet by 2050, can urban farming really make a meaningful contribution to feeding the masses? And what role could the sea play? It's been predicted that by 2050, 68% of us will live in a city. And that brings challenges when it comes to getting food to us. But could a partial solution be right on some of our cities' doorsteps? 8 of the world's 10 largest megacities are situated on the coast. So could the sea be feeding more of them? As you can see, there's just loads of fishing vessels out here. But I'm waiting for one to come in that's been out there all day, not so much fishing, but farming. I'm in Brixham, one of the UK's most important fishing ports. I really want to shout ahoy, but I'm not sure that they actually say that. Only 2% of our global calories are currently sourced from the seas, and the majority of this comes from fish. But our fish stocks are heavily depleted. Aquaculturist John Homeyard is looking for a more sustainable protein solution. Oops, out the way. I'm always in the way. Only 6 miles offshore, John is growing mussels on long ropes stretching out underwater. Each year, this underwater farm can produce an astonishing 10,000 tons. So could a super-sized farm like this, placed in the waters outside a coastal megacity, provide a sustainable protein source? You look like you've had a long day, John.
It's been a very long day, yes. It's quite rough out there today.
How do you become a mussel farmer?
I guess the farming bit is in my blood. I come from a farming family, so I've got the farming gene, as it were.
Okay.
But mussel farming is as pure a form of farming as you can get, in that the mussels are grazers. They graze on the plankton, the natural wild plankton that's in the sea. All we do is give them somewhere to live. And when they're fat enough, we bring them in and sell them. You know.
Can I have a look at some?
These are as they've just come off the line through the machinery.
So each one of those mussels is like a pure block of protein underneath the calcium shell.
Yeah.
And you've just drawn literally 20 tons out of the sea. How sustainable is that?
Well, because there's no inputs involved in this, and they're entirely naturally grazed. You know, we don't even have to grow the grass for them. It's the plankton that's available. I guess the definition of sustainable is you can keep doing it every year forever. It's sustainable, isn't it?
While the waters John's mussels grow in are perfectly safe and regularly checked, for them to become a food source next to coastal megacities would require change. As a source of protein, it ticks every box. But here's the only rub. Mussels are precisely so mineral rich because they're filter feeders. They literally suck in and concentrate everything that's in the seawater around them, including heavy metals and other pollutants. But realistically speaking, could our waters ever be clean enough to support this? New Yorkers think so. Home to 18.8 million people, it was once known as the oyster capital of the world. But a population boom and pollution all but wiped out these filter feeders in little under 100 years. Today, though, New York Harbor is cleaning up its waters, and a project to see nearly 1 billion oysters back on its harbor floor by 2035 is proving that farming the waters around our megacities with a little work may be possible in the future. And with cleaner waters, what other sea-based urban farms could we create? Alga Plus are responding to a growing trend in seaweed. A hugely versatile product, it's an industry worth $6 billion US, 85% of which is derived from food-related products. Either farmed on our coastline or even on land, seaweed could be a healthy addition to our urban farming arsenal.
Seaweed has been consumed for centuries, and we all recognize the benefits, the health benefits of seaweed consumption.
Using an innovative inland aquaculture system, the team in Portugal are farming fish and seaweed side by side.
We are controlling every step of the operation. We know that the future of food should be not only healthy, but also sustainable. And by producing seaweed at sea or in land-based systems integrated with animal production like we do here, we have an environmental, a socio-economical benefit of seaweed farming, and then the nutritional and the health benefits already declared for seaweed. So yes, I think it's a future.
Whatever urban farming solutions we come up with, whether on land or in the waters around our cities, it's clear to me that they have to be achievable and at scale. And historically, this is one thing technology has been exceptionally good at when it comes to farming. To find what role tech could play in creating substantial urban farms, I've been speaking with Peter Diamandis. Peter, I can see you. Can you see me?
Good morning, James.
Good morning. Peter Diamandis is a best-selling author and recently named as one of the world's 50 greatest leaders in innovation and exponential technologies. He predicts a future of AI-enhanced nutrition, 3D printed meals, and lab-grown meat. So I'm sat on a rooftop in the very cold center of London today. Could you give me a little bit of vision of what will urban farming really look like? Will it be fields of wheat on tops of buildings?
So I don't think it's fields of wheat on top of buildings, but I do believe that we can take our farms and grow them vertically. I can imagine maybe it's a 10-story building or a 20-story building where every story of that building is enclosed. We are controlling what pests are in that building without using pesticide. There is artificial light, the perfect amount of water. We get more crop per square meter than we would in the fields in a very uncontrolled situation where they could be battered by storms, and robots are able to harvest those crops and provide them efficiently, and they're delivered right there. You don't have to spend, weeks transporting them. They're fresh, they're filled with the maximum amount of nutrients, and it's just massively efficient. And when I think about how we are going to create our food in the future, it's going to be different.
Inspired by Peter's vision of the future, I want to know where the cutting edge of vertical farming technology lies today. Could this be the key to our urban farming needs? The concept has been around for decades, but only really commercialized in recent years and limited to growing just salad leaves. That's not going to sustain a city. But one innovative company is looking to shake up the industry.
This is what a modern tomato farmer looks like. Plants don't lie. When a tomato tastes this good, that's what makes a difference.
This is 80 Acres Farms, a big player in the rapidly growing business of vertical farming, specializing in converting urban spaces into urban farms.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
And then you'll correct it.
I will.
Founded in 2015 by Mike Zelkind and Tisha Livingston.
We had to give the consumer the right product at the right time, at the right price, with a phenomenal quality that 10 years ago was not feasible. Technology wasn't here 10 years ago to enable indoor vertical farming.
The vertical farming industry continues to evolve. We continue to get better with the technology. The cost of LED lights and the cost of the rest of the technology continues to go down. So it's becoming more affordable to build a highly efficient indoor farm.
Expected to be valued at over $12 billion by 2026, the industry has come a long way in a short space of time. Mike and Tisha now want to push vertical farming to the next level.
It's almost impossible to grow tomatoes indoors, and as you can see, we've been able to do it. It's all about the LED lights above us. It's all about making sure that you have nice laminar airflow so the plants can breathe. We're the first people in the world to grow tomatoes in a completely indoor environment with no sunlight. The reason we want to do it is we feel tomatoes and berries are really the killer app of the vertical farming space. We call it getting beyond lettuce.
Leafy greens are well known for providing vitamins and minerals to our diet. But these fruit provide something extra. More calories for us and higher value for the farmer. Important in our busy cities.
We felt it was a way to tell the world that, hey, vertical farming has arrived. And to push the industry, to push other pioneers in the space to do more than leafy greens. It took years to do, but now that it's done, we can build these everywhere around the world, no matter what the climate is, and produce these phenomenal crops. 10 years ago, this was science fiction. Tomorrow is going to be so ubiquitous that everybody's going to be doing it, and we will think, oh my God, did we really ship our berries 2,000 miles a few years ago? How crazy, who would have thought of that?
But Mike and Tisha are by no means finished there.
Hi, welcome to the 70K farm.
This is their most ambitious project yet.
This is certainly going to be one of the largest fully automated farms in the U.S. It's about 55 feet high. We have 10 rows, 10 levels, 10 positions deep.
In just 70,000 square feet, this vertical farm will robotically plant, harvest, and package almost 1.5 million pounds of produce annually.
Being able to provide healthy, nutritious food and doing it in a sustainable way and doing it in an affordable way so people can get this food is something that's really important. It's my belief that this farm is going to change the world.
You know, it's really easy to just dismiss urban farming as some kind of gimmicky, science fiction-y vision of the future. But to me, what's been really fascinating on my journey is the genuine extent to which some of these ideas are really practical, at least as one tool in a much larger toolbox. And to develop practical solutions, you do have to very often entertain ideas which might on the surface of it sound weird and wonderful. So I think it really is a case of watch this space. Wherever and however our food is produced in the future, the end goal remains the same: to feed the planet.
You tap fly now and the drone will take off.
Oh, wow. Next time, I'll be focusing my journey on how farming is getting efficient.
If we lose our bee populations, we're going to lose a lot of important crops.
And why big data is reshaping the industry.
In future, data will be more important for a company because data is more reliable than people are.